Good morning. It's Circle of Love time again, and I'm Cynthia. And today we're going to talk about change. Change is something that can be a scary thing sometimes, many times. And so today I'm going to kind of try to shift my mindset about change a little bit. It's also change of seasons time. I've also been surrounded by a lot of other people going through some pretty major life events like loss of loved ones, for example, which really creates huge change in our life's momentum. So I just kind of want to, address that a little bit today, and I'm going to call it the Change Project. We're going to create a book in the end. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This project was inspired by a magnificent artist in Sweden. Her name is Jenny Grant. I'm going to be including the link to her information as well as her free art retreat that she is offering at the moment. And it's all online, so you can do it at your own pace. Actually, I just realized it was free when I took it for those days. And now I think that it might be costing $10 to access it. I just realized. However, I think she does some other free things every now and then. Anyway, it's worth checking out. I want to share a little bit about this, about her wisdom with you. I made another version of this project specifically on the topic of change. And for me, my message to self is going to be that change can set you free. Actually, it can have that potential. Okay, so I'll talk a little more about that as we go, but let me show you what supplies I have on my desk today. I have a gigantic piece of paper. This one is 12 by 18 inches, but you can do a smaller paper if you want to also. I also, speaking of papers, have other types of papers, scrap papers or trash papers, like brown paper from packaging, newsprint paper from packaging, some old dictionary pages that were falling out, tissue papers, and bingo paper, okay? And if you haven't played bingo out somewhere, you should. It's also super fun. There. This is another little small size book. So if you're starting off with a smaller piece of paper, you'll just end up with a smaller size book. Okay, that's not a problem. I also have some glue, some black and white paint, brushes for my paint, scissors, a marker, and yeah, let's get started. Okay, and so the first task will actually be, and you can use your big paper, I'm going to call it your backing paper, as a work mat if you want to right now, or maybe you already have a work mat out on your work surface. The first thing to do is to take these papers that you've gathered. Okay, so I'm going to take first my dictionary page and my bingo page. And the first thing you're going to do is add a little paint right on it. Now, we don't want to do too much paint because we want the paint to be able to dry quickly. So if we use a small amount of paint, we can spread it and it should dry relatively quickly, okay? So, and I'm not trying to cover the whole page. I'm really just kind of messing it up is all I'm doing. There is no particular way to do this. I'm going to try some white also over here. Promise there's no special way to do this. That's the thing that I love the most about this project. You really cannot go wrong. It's just not possible. When I'm working on these pages, I'm thinking about the ways that we are put in situations where maybe we lose control. Maybe we feel like, yes, the project I was working on got all messed up because something happened, okay? I'm going to go to my newsprint page now. This one, I'm going to add a little bit of some black smudges, black smudgy kind of areas like this. Yeah, so I'm thinking about how, you know, sometimes we make all these grand plans with lots and lots of details, and we feel like we have it all worked out and figured out. Okay, and then something happens. And then our plans don't end up going the way we expected them to. Okay, and then sometimes we feel like we want to just crawl under a rock and give up. I certainly have had that feeling, even very recently. Okay, there's that one. And I'm going to pull out my, I'm going to do a little bit on my brown paper. I'm going to do just a little bit of this. This time, instead of doing big brushing, I'm just going to do some marks, some random marks all over the place. I might even use my smaller brush that I did pull out to do some kind of like big, just shapes, just free kind of, this isn't even going to be a final product. You'll see, it does not matter. It just doesn't matter. Okay. Also, maybe on this one, I'll actually add some touches of white as well. Just a few. My white will cooperate. I love how I don't need a palette today for my paint. I can just go straight onto my paper. I love that. One less thing to deal with. See how I'm just being messy? I'm really just being messy. And trying to spread my paint so it dries fast. Okay. For my tissue papers, I think I'm going to leave those the way they are for right now. You'll see that sometimes it's good to have some plain papers that don't have much like pattern on them. Okay. I'm going to take these papers that I've just made. Oh, this is my favorite part. I'm going to flip them upside down so I can't see the stuff I did on the front. Okay, I can't see it, so it's not precious anymore. And I'm going to tear it in half. Take each page, tear it in half. You'll see some I'm tearing in half long ways, some I'm tearing in half short ways like that. Okay. Take each of your pages, tear them in half. No, the tears don't have to be nice and neat. Not at all. Not at all. Tear it in half. And it looks for me like I'm going to be ending up with so much material here out of just these few pages that I could make 2 or maybe even 3 books if I want to later. Tear it in half. Let me get my one more color. Tear it in half. Okay. All right. So look what I have, a big pile of torn papers. Okay. A variety of torn papers. Got some tissue in there. Our next task is going to be to take these torn papers, which right now, again, as I'm handling these in my hands, I can't stop thinking about the messes that we're dealing with sometimes too in our lives. Again, when things don't go our way, when something unexpected happens, and it just seems like we're never going to figure it out, what are we going to do? We're going to start by gluing these big pieces of paper to this bigger piece of paper. Remember our backing paper. Any which way, it does not matter. There is no rule or rhyme or reason here, okay? I will tell you some things that Jenny Grant does that I think are clever and can also help add some kind of an artsy kind of a look to it. Oh, just remembered, I forgot to mention this. Sorry about that. I also have an old credit card, gift card thing that's no longer got any money on it, okay? And I keep those. And I do it because I use it to like this as a spreading tool. So you see I've already put down some glue in this big section here of my backing paper. Now I can take my first piece of collage paper and I'm going to place it so that the torn edge here of this collage paper is facing the outer edge of my backing paper. That's one trick that Jenny Grant does. There. And she even glues her paper, her collage papers on. So look that they're actually hanging off the edge a little bit like this from her backing paper. I thought that was clever. Again, it gives it a nice, fun, artsy edge. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start just taking time to glue all of our collage papers on. Okay. Okay. And this card that I'm using to spread the glue around is also great to, like this, scrape the top of the page, the collage paper, the piece that you just laid down on top of the glue, to get out all air bubbles and wrinkles. Okay. And it really helps make that paper nice and flat. So I'm just going to keep going, to the next little section, spreading a bunch of glue. And I love the large size of this because it really helps me feel like I'm getting into it, like I'm getting a lot done. Taking another piece, I'm just laying it on top. And when I say getting a lot done, I don't really mean like work-wise. I just mean making progress. I feel like I'm constructing something. I'm building something big. And it makes me feel like I'm making progress. Excellent. Just keep going around the page and just keep squirting your glue. Here goes my glue. Okay. And I'm using glue all. You can use school glue like Elmer's glue, that is it's called, or any other liquid glue. If you have those fancy artsy glues, you can do that. Whatever you want. Okay, here goes some of my bingo paper. Get some more glue in this area. Make sure that the bingo paper, there we go, has enough glue underneath it. Okay. And you might also notice that I'm kind of changing papers as I go. That's another strategy if you want to get some good variety in your book. And areas where, like, I've already put some brown over on this side of the page, I'm going to come over here and put some brown over on this side of the page of the big area. Yeah, again, just to kind of keep scattering these colors, these textures all throughout your book. Just adding where I see that the edges are still kind of lifting up a little bit, I'm going back and I'm just adding some more glue underneath there just to get them to stay flat and stay down. Go. Now remember that when we were doing our painting on these collage papers or these pieces, we were trying to use a thin amount of paint so that it would dry quickly. Okay. With the glue, it's a similar concept. We want to try to spread the glue if there's anything that's oozing out from the edges. Okay, we want to really kind of spread it. Or if you have a napkin nearby, you can kind of wipe it off, wipe the excess off, because we do want it to start drying already. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I still have more to add here. And if I want more of a torn edge, I can just kind of tear this little bit off like that. There we go. Just for the look for the look of it. And yes, you can go by how it's looking to you right now, you can. But if that's something that seems to be slowing you down and you're having a hard time making decisions about it, then I say throw it out the window. Don't worry about the look and just get this page filled. That's one way to get to the next step quickly. Okay, I'm going to just use this much of this one. Okay, because, often change, especially something very unexpected, can make us feel stuck. Easy to feel stuck. Like we can't see what our choices are. Or we can't figure out what to do because we hadn't planned for it. Or maybe it's a change that's been coming and been, that you've been knowing about already for a long time. And maybe you just don't feel ready for that change. Or maybe it's a change you're already super excited about. And it's time to celebrate that change. But the idea here is that change can be a positive thing. There can be something useful that comes out of it. Okay, I'm putting now on the top layer some of these tissue papers. And really, I don't need a lot. Notice how my pieces are very big. I'm keeping, I'm staying with some larger size pieces of these scrap papers or collage papers, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I finished covering my area or my backing paper. Okay, and this is kind of what I have left. And I'm noticing there are some shiny areas, which tells me that my glue is not totally dry yet in those areas. So I'm going back and I'm scraping to get that shininess to die down a little bit or to dull down a little bit, dry up a little bit. I have a napkin, so I'm coming here, wiping those shiny areas again to just dry it up. Anywhere it feels wet, just go and dry it up. And we're just taking it little by little, one section at a time. One section at a time, one bit at a time. Go. Now, while that is sitting for just another minute, I'm actually going to grab a blank sheet of copy paper because I want to show you, I want to give you a sneak peek of how we're going to do our folding so that you can see the steps clearly without me using this part yet, because we are going to use this ultimately, but it's easier to see what's happening with the folding when I do it on a blank paper. So let me go grab that really quickly and then you can. Okay, here goes. So the way that what we're going to do with this big piece here is going to be to fold it in half. And this, you might not feel ready to do this. You might not be on this step yet, and that's okay, right? I'm just kind of giving you a sneak peek right now, okay? When you're ready and when you have filled this in completely, we're going to take it, the whole thing, we're going to fold it in half this way, then open it up. So we end up with that middle crease. We're going to turn it and we're going to fold it in half this way. So when we open it, we end up now with the middle here and the middle here. Okay, we see both middles. And while it's in this direction, and while it's actually still folded this way, we're going to fold it one more time in half. Okay. So that when we open it in the end, we are left now with 8 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm going to do the folding one more time. I'm going to fold it in half this way. And then I'm going to open it and turn it. Fold it in half this way. Make sure you crease it really well, by the way, each time. Okay. And then you can leave it like this and just fold it in half like this one more time. Crease it really, really well. Okay. And then open it this far, like this. And here's why. And we want to be able to see that fold right here. So I can see it with my eyes, but I'm not sure if the camera can see it. So here, let me just redo it. Make it stand out a little more. There we go. Okay. So this fold right here, this is the one we want to focus on. What we're going to do is we're going to be holding our paper so that the edge or the edges, the open edges right here that are not folded, that are not attached, are up top like this. And the edge that is folded down here is on the bottom. So that when we make our cut, because we're going to make a cut right on this line, and we're going to just take it only this far to this section. And when we do that, and when we open this whole thing up, we end up with a slit right there in the very middle. Okay? Slit in the middle. And that's what's going to allow us to fold this, and then while we're holding these two sides together, we push this together. And that's what forms our book. And then we just continue folding it up like this. And now we see there are pages. Okay. So if you're someone who wants to practice with your copy paper or regular paper first, just to remember also kind of how this goes, you're welcome to do that. And now we have a template, and I'm going to set my template aside, and I'm going to do this now with my real paper, okay, my real collage paper. So here it is. It's dry to the touch. It might still be damp because the glue takes a little bit longer to fully dry, but at least it's dry to the touch. Okay, so that's all we need is for it to be dry to the touch. And notice that my edges are not, they're not straight, right? What I want to focus on is the edge right here, the straight edge of the paper, okay? And if you're someone who'd rather have that straight edge all the way, then just trim off your extra little collage papers that are hanging over, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm placing my fingertips right here at the edges like this of the straight paper, so that when I fold it, I can come and I can also feel and touch the edges over here. So that's how I know that I'm lining it up. There we go. Okay. And now I crease this really well. And sometimes you might need to use the handle of your scissors to do some creasing. Okay. And then I'm going to open it up. Here's my center crease. I'm going to turn it this way and fold it in half like this. And I'm putting my fingertips here at the edge of the straight paper. Okay, so I can feel, there we go. That's where it lands. Creasing this really well. This really well. I'm going to take the whole entire thing and I'm going to fold it again one more time. And now I can't really see those edges, right? So I'm just going to estimate. So I'm going to peek. I'm going to lift this up and peek and see, okay, where's the edge of the straight paper. It's about right there. So I'm going to just take it to right there. Okay. And make sure you crease really low. Okay, excellent. So when I open it back up, I'm really opening it halfway. So I want to keep these open edges like this towards the top or away from me. And I want to keep this folded edge right here close to me. And I'm looking right here and I'm looking at my crease that I made earlier. I'm going to make the cut right on my crease. Go. I'm only cutting that much. Okay. That way, when I open this back up, I'm actually going to fold it this way. And I'm going to grab it by these ends, the two ends here and here. And I'm going to kind of push it together. So, you know, pushing it together, and that's all just naturally coming together. Okay. And now I just finish folding it like this the rest of the way, just kind of help it finish. And I just go back and I press and crease all these edges again. Okay, so now we have a very fun and funky, cool art book. Okay, now you might notice that as you're turning your pages, some of these pages want to do an opening thing like this. So the backing becomes revealed. Okay, you can handle this one of two ways. You could either take this whole thing and in fact decorate or paint or, you know, cover the back if you like, or you can glue those edges together or those sides, those pieces together. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it's like if you glue them together. To glue them together, I'm opening the whole thing, spreading glue. I love that feeling of just glue all over the whole thing. That feels really good. So freeing. Talk about freeing. Taking my card, spreading the glue, trying to focus on the edges mostly. Those are what we want to stay together if you want it to stay together. And get this edge over here. And once that glue, now here's again where you don't want too much glue. You don't want it to be oozing all over the place. Okay, there we go. I'm going to do the same thing again where I fold it like this in half. And as I'm folding it, and while I'm folding it, I'm already starting to push it inward like this, grabbing these two sides and push the whole thing inward. And then I just kind of set it. Actually, it's probably easier if we work on it upside down because that's my even edge. This edge over here has a lot of, see, has a lot of uneven, there we go, papers. So I'm going to keep it there. I'm pushing this in. I'm just looking to see where everything lines up inside of there. Okay. I'm going ahead, and if I have to, I'm going to separate it a little bit or separate it again like this. Okay, and come and help the pages like this. There we go, and like this. If you have to, just get them to line up better for you. And there we go. And go ahead and while that glue is still wet, you want to go ahead and close those pages onto each other like this. Close the book, in other words, so that the pages end up, there we go, where they need to be. Or where they, there we go, line up best. Okay. So here is my finished folded book. And so far it doesn't have any kind of message or theme or, you know, writing or even other artwork in it. But this is where I want to show you, once again, some other options for your book. You can use this as a journal. You can do some writing in it. You can also add artwork or further collage. Again, this one I just decided to create a book that just is about change. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coming in and adding some additional like drawing and decorating to some of these words. So I really just put them in very simply right now. Set you free. And I think, these areas are great opportunities to come in and do some more decorating. This one gives you an idea of some of the other type of artwork that you can do. This is super simple. I just actually cut out a shape from another piece of collage paper and glued it on and started adding drawing to that. You could do that in all of your pages. So it could be filled with images, or it can be a doodle book. So something that Jenny Grant talks a lot about is doodling, and really just kind of spending time on some of these areas that already have some kind of, say, pattern or design on them, and just letting your mind kind of wander and continuing that pattern. There we go. Just to kind of add more detail to your pages. You can do this in any way you want. Let me just add those extra lines there. Notice I'm really not adding a lot, but by going in and by looking more closely at these details, it helps me to start kind of define some of these. I like the idea of having some kind of a repeating line here, so I'm going to add that. Okay. And that just kind of gives you some different opportunities. Oops, sorry about that. Opportunities to just get a little creative and, in a very loose and freeing way that can be really have a really nice effect in the end. Where it might look like you've spent a lot of time really thinking hard about how to arrange these, papers or images or things like that. But really, it did not, as you can see, it did not take us very long, and we can do wonderful things with that. So here, I want to also remind you that I've gotten this project from Jenny Grant, who is an amazing artist in Sweden, mixed media artist. And I will include more information about her again in my little description with this video. Okay, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. If you're joining by recording, thank you so much for giving it a try. And I hope that you are able to find this project useful for yourself, meaningful for yourself. And I hope that this helps you maybe open your mind a little more about, different ways to look at change or approach change if it's something that's been challenging for you, right? Thank you so much again. Sending you lots of love, and I hope to see you next time.